You know what's basic? pH 14. And you know what else is basic? Telling a black woman in the 1950s she can't do science. This is the story of Dr. Bettye Washington Greene. The woman who didn't just enter scientific rooms, she redesigned the entire building. Imposter syndrome? Please. She turned that into an imposter syndrome, where she did the imposing. Born in 1935 in Palestine, Texas, a place where the very air was thick with segregation, the state had made it illegal to even integrate public spaces. But rules, see, Bettye saw them as suggestions. At Terrell High School, while other educational systems were teaching compliance, her school was revolutionary. A progressive education program that taught black students to solve problems, that taught black students to question, that taught black students to challenge. Every time she looked at a chemistry problem, she was looking at a system that said she didn't belong. And every solution she found was a middle finger to that system. Act 2, the academic battlefield. Tuskegee Institute wasn't just a college. It was a fortress of black intellectual resistance. While society tried to funnel black women into narrow career paths, nursing, teaching, Bettye was calculating molecular weights and understanding particle dynamics. Her first taste of imposter syndrome? Constant. The whispers, the looks, the unspoken, "You don't belong here." But here's the thing about Bettye. She belonged everywhere. Graduate school at Wayne State wasn't just an academic pursuit. It was a strategic mission. Recruited by the Office of Naval Research, she was supported by a mother who watched her children and backed by a husband who believed in her dreams. Act 3, Dow Chemical, making history. In 1965, she becomes the first black female research scientist at Dow Chemical. Not just at Dow, the first black American female Ph.D. chemist hired by any chemical company. I don't think y'all just heard me. In 1965, she became the first black female research scientist at Dow. But this was the first black American female Ph.D. chemist hired by any big chemical company. We talking just 60 years ago. Imposter syndrome tried. It did. It tried to creep in, but how do you feel like an imposter when you're literally pioneering an entire field? Her particle size research wasn't just scientific, it was revolutionary. I'm telling y'all, man, understanding how tiny particles behave became her superpower. Pharmaceuticals, construction, her work touched everything. 3 patents, innovations that still are cited today in scientific journals. This is nearly 50 years ago at this point. But let's be real. Success for black women in science isn't just about research. It's about surviving in rooms where you're constantly questioning, constantly proving, constantly existing. Her daughter remembers her frustration training employees with lesser credentials who were promoted above her. The systematic racism that said, "We see your brilliance, girl, but..." Dr. Bettye Washington Greene didn't just do science. She transformed it. To every scientist who ever felt like they don't belong, this is your blueprint. Science doesn't care about your background. It cares about your mind. And her mind was infinite.